So she starts walking to the bathroom. I look over and I see a big dude come out the cut. He like, everybody get crazy. And it was just something racist about this.
Now everybody sing that shit.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Tay Pancakes, aka Taylor Stevens, aka Tay. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Y'all like, what is that? What's that in the bag? And y'all also could be saying like, that and what is that? I got merch. Like, y'all know I got merch. Some of y'all already ordered some, but it's me on the pillow, Tay Pancakes. See, that's me. Buy yourself one and put it in your living room to scare your guests. Yes, period. Get you a Tyrika phone case. It comes in lavender, all other types of cute colors. Put the sock on, hold it. Just a pancake. My name on it, bitch, it's a pancake. Okay, let's just get to the story because I'm doing a lot of chit chat and not enough story time. I don't know what year it was, but I was 18 years old. So basically, as you read from the title, this is gonna be a story about the time that me and my best friend got dragged out of a club like ragdolls. That's always fun. At the time, I think this was the first time me and my best friend were going to a club legally. For the record, this part of the story, you know, for legal purposes, I'm gonna say this part of the story is not true. But me and my best friend at the time, still my best friend now, period, we have fake IDs. So we have been to the club before, we just hadn't been to the club. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. And we still weren't old enough to go to no 21 and over club, obviously, even though we had already been, obviously. We had got to this club. It's a club where I'm from, it's in Baltimore. And we was like, okay, we 18. They accept people 18 and up, even though they still have drinks. You just get them big, when they put them big X's on your hand. We show the IDs, we press. First of all, before we get into me going into the club, let's get into what I wore to the club. Well, I didn't know if I was going to work. It's like, it looked like I came fresh out the office of my 9 to 5, answering phone calls to hit the club. Like, girl, what are you wearing? I got on a vest, but at the time, I was giving, period. I always gave what needed to be gave. So yeah, this is what I wore to the club. I forgot how we even heard about this club. Like, nobody we knew was really going here, but it was popping. Like, the line was down the street. It was an interesting mix of people in line though. That was the first red flag. I looked around, I'm like, mind you, we in Baltimore. It's an interesting mix. Now, I'm not racist. I'm just saying, like, it was just an interesting mix of people. You had the Hispanic people, you had a few black people, a few white people, a few Middle Eastern people. It was just a mix. I'm like, okay, let's get the mixing pot going. Cool. Like, so we get up there, press, show the bouncer my ID. He looked at me like this, ID. So yeah, so the guy asked for my ID. He big, like, this bouncer is big as hell. Like, I'm sitting here, mind you, I'm 5'10", baby. So he big as hell. So he asked for my ID and I'm excited. But then he started looking at my ID like he questioning it. And me personally, coming from someone who had a fake ID before, so I was paranoid even though this was my real ID this time. I'm like, this is my actual ID. Like, I went to the DMV and they gave me this. Why are you looking at it like this? So he examining it, putting it up to the light. I'm like, if I wanted to sneak in a club with a fake ID but not be with an 18 ID, like, come on now, buddy. Come on. Then, y'all should have seen how he took it. It was with a little bit of attitude, and I was like, it's already something spicy going on with him from the jump, off breath. He finally let us go. We walk into the club with them big dumb X's on, black X's on our hands. I'm looking around, and when you first walk into the club, it's giving, there was only one race on the main floor, right? It was one main race with a sprinkler of a few. So when you go on the first floor, when you walk in with the DJ, they playing interesting music. The music that's playing is giving Hollister. It's giving Hollister playlist. Like, they just went up into Abercrombie & Fitch, Hollister, the whole franchise, and just said, give me that. Give me the playlist. And I know because I used to work at Hollister. So I'm like, this not really a vibe. And I look around, I'm like, where are all the other people I seen? I seen black people. Where the black people at? Like, the main floor was a lot of Middle Eastern people, like a sprinkle of white people. The way the club set up is there were different floors. I didn't know at first, but I saw a Negro go downstairs. I'm like, my brother, I see you. So I'm like, where these black people going? I'm like, okay. So we was like, we'll go down there in a second. We also see people going upstairs. So I'm like, let me go upstairs. So me and my best friend, we go upstairs. And I'm like, the music starts changing as you're walking up the steps. And I'm like, what is going on? Upstairs, they salsa and shit. Like, it's like a fiesta up that bitch. So I'm like, oh, it's a change of scenery. You look around, it's like Hispanic people and all that. So I'm like, oh, they did the floors by cultures and races. Like, I don't know how I feel about this. It's giving segregation, but we're gonna, you know, I don't know. So I'm like, okay, cool. It's another floor. I do not remember what the top floor was. I don't know what race was upstairs, but it wasn't given, because it was given attic. Like, it felt tight. So we was like, let's go where we saw the niggas go. Go downstairs, and of course, guess who was in the basement? Like, we was running away from the mess. The niggas!
Graham.
The police! They had the niggas downstairs. It was hot downstairs. The air conditioner wasn't flowing down there. It was niggas. And it was just something racist about this. It was something racist about this. It wasn't feeling right in my spirit. My ancestors was talking to me. Anyway, so I'm down there. And then the music they had downstairs wasn't like mainstream hip hop. It was more like dance hall. Like, that was the kind of vibe. But nobody was really dancing. It was real stiff down there. And the only thing I could think of, I should not have been drinking at this age, but I was an early bloomer. And I was looking at my best friend, I'm like, I need a drink. Like, this is what it gave. And we was young. Well, how did we get there? I don't know. The way we got there was basically on some, you're gonna enjoy the night because y'all spent money to get here, and that's that on that. So, but we go back upstairs anyway, because you know what else was on the main floor that none of the other floors had? Ironically enough, right where the white people, you know, were commingling, they had tables and sections. So in my head, I go, I can finesse a beverage. So we go to the bathroom, and we have these big X's on our hands. So not only do these big X's stop us from buying alcohol, it also stops us from drinking alcohol, because they have like security guards and bouncers and stuff walking around. So we go in the bathroom, and I see these white girls in there. They scrubbing their skin off. They're like, it won't come off. Oh my God, it won't come off. And so me and my best friend like, y'all know they put that on your hand with like Sharpie, like. So like, this girl hand turning purple, like she's in there. Come on, we have to get it off. I need a drink. I'm like, a drink was never that serious. And if anything, by the time you get that X off your hand, sweetie, they're gonna see the bruises on your hands and be like, yo, what's going on? In the bathroom trying to get them X's off their hand. I'm like, girl, a drink was never that serious, girl. Just sneak it at that point. Like, you're gonna spend your whole night. By the time you get it off, it's gonna be 5 minutes to close. The thing that made this really funny is, in order to get these drinks, I had to be in this main level section. I didn't like nothing about the music they playing in there. Like, you know what they did up there? Like, truly been out to like a white club scene, like one of them white club like bar hopping scenes. This is what it was giving me. Like, back home, I mean, in Baltimore, it's Fair Hill, but you go somewhere, and I don't know what song was popping at the time, but you don't think your song about to come on. You like, you hear some Megan Thee Stallion, you like, oh, they switching it up. They about to gear towards everyone here. Like, you in there, I saying hands on my knees, thinking that smother, I saying hands on my knees, 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 hands on my knees. Everybody get crazy. Like, that's what, like every time a song was about to get lit, like every time you thought like a song was really it, like that's what it would do. Like, oh my gosh. And they did it so many times, and I would fall for it every time. Like, but you just know your favorite song. You like, oh, they know me. Like, they must have known that a bitch like me walked in. Nope. It's gonna turn into And you know what? There's a time and a place. But that wasn't the night. But you know what I did? I stood there and I that whole time for that drink. I'll tell you that much. You wasn't about to tell me that I wasn't I might have got the shuffle dancing in that mug. Shoot. Play with me. Play with me. Cause I'm gonna do what I got. Back then, 18-year-old Taylor did what she had to do for that drink, girl. Not like that. Like, I wouldn't do what I had to do, like anything. So this one creepy dude, I see him making eyes, and I'm with my best friend, we dancing. I'm like, yeah, we gotta get him box a drink. He got a section, and he like come up and whisper in my ear. He smelled terrible. It was like this white guy, he stunk. But he came in my ear. It was him, and he had a Middle Eastern friend. Like, they had like a little brigade going over there in a section. Like, they was just hauling in girls, which today I wouldn't do that, but back then I was young, thirsty. And by thirsty, I mean I wanted some alcohol. I was like, hey, like, yeah, can my best friend come too? They're like, yeah, come on, blah, blah, blah. So we're like, cool, bet. We're in there. So At this point, I'm like, oh my God, I finessed the system. Like, oh my God. She's like, we can't go up there at the same time. It's gonna look hot. I'm like, you're right. I was like, I'm gonna go first. And because they had, the guy has to open up the ropes to get you over there. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna tell him that you went first. I said, put some people in between us so they won't be suspicious. They seen the X's on our hands. They don't give a goddamn. Who in front of you so it don't seem like we just waiting it out. I said, go back there in the mix, kinda, where we can still see you, and then act like you kind of trying to get through people to get around. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, give us some time. So I'm right up on there. I get in the section and I have my drink. I'm like, this how we ready to do it. I'm ready to make 2 drinks. We ready to walk out of the section, act like we gotta go to the bathroom. We gonna get in the bathroom, chuck the drinks before anybody can see us. Boom, foolproof, genius. I get a drink, I start drinking it. And I like, while I have this drink in my hand, I'm like, got a cup on the table, and I'm like, you know, obviously hold my drink like this because these niggas be sneaky trying to slip stuff in your drink. Don't ever let your drink be open. So I'm like concocting, being a mixologist on this side on the table on the low, like mixing the drink and stuff. I got both drinks in my hand. I'm looking around. I don't see no bouncers. Like all the bouncers in there was big as hell, so you can't miss them. So I slipped the drink to Sis, and I'm like, we in there. Like I managed to get the drink to her. And she still wasn't in the section. It still was like a few people in the section, but my arm's long, so I was able to get over there. So Sis was like, I'ma go first. She was like, I'ma go first. So she tried to slip back away so she can start the process of me being like, let me go to the bathroom. So she starts walking to the bathroom. I look over and I see a big dude come out the cut. He like I'm like, sis, what to get caught up? I see him, seeing her, see him. And I'm like, oh, this not good. So I got my drink in my hand. At this point, I just finished my drink. I sit my drink down. And I try to go after sis because I see her try to, like she was going to the bathroom. She saw him and went, pew, and went to the other way. So at this point, I'm nervous. I'm like, I don't know what happened. We're going to jail. We're underage drinking, whatever. So sis is like trying to act like she's not doing nothing wrong, but she clearly has an alcoholic beverage in her hand. Because I think for the people who didn't have exes, they was giving them like water bottles and bottled beverages. So that way somebody can't be like, oh, this is just soda. Oh, this is just like they gave people who weren't drinking alcoholic beverages cans and bottles of sodas, like stuff like that. So at this point, we're walking normal, but not normal at the same time. We're like, yeah, this music is great. So I'm behind sis and I'm like following him, follow her. So he following her, I'm following him, follow her. And she like ducking and dodging and going through, and I lose them. I'm like, yo, this is it. My sister's gone. She caught. Like, what's going on? I don't know what happens in this kind of situation. We're going downtown. I turn around and somehow her and the bouncer got beyond me. Like, I don't know when they passed me, but I seen escorted like towards the door, and I'm like, they got my bitch. So I walk up there and I'm like walking towards her, and he like looking at her hand with the drink in her hand, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, I don't know what's happening, like where he taking her. So I catch up, and he knew he was the guy, but I guess he just ain't know where I went. So he don't even say no words to me, no exchange. I'm like, excuse me. Before I can even finish my sentence, he got one arm on my blazer, and I don't feel the ground no more. I'm like, what's going on? Cause I'm floating, bitch. I'm floating. He got me on one arm and my best friend on the other. And I'm like, this is it. We're gonna be embarrassed. I imagine like us getting kicked out the club on some Fresh Prince stock type stuff. Like that's what I thought was gonna happen. I'm like, this is so embarrassing. Mind you, all of this happened in a matter of like an hour. But this is the thing, we were already late to the club, so the club was about to close already. So you know us, you know, you try to keep your pride. I'm like, y'all about to close anyway. I don't care, y'all about to close anyway. Just looking stupid, like flailing. I'm skinny as hell, flailing in the air, talking, and the dude literally just like this. So we literally he literally grabbed us and like he ain't throw us on the ground or nothing, but he forcefully threw us out the club. And I said, wow. I was honestly proud of myself. I was like, I ain't never been kicked out of the club. I like this. It was a rush. It was a rush. It never happened again, but it was a rush. I'll tell you that. They threw us out that goddamn club, but you know what? Luckily they did. That club was racist. The club was racist. It was segregated. I mean, I see what they were trying to do. Oh, every different floors, different cultures, but it was giving, it was the setup. Like, they knew not to put the niggas in the basement. Y'all put the Negroes in the basement? We get outside And as we get outside, I'm like, yo, like, let's just start walking, because our dumbass is like, we don't know, like, what they gonna do next. I'm like, maybe they coming out. And so I see a police car, and so I got on heels. I'm like, oh, let's book it. So we start running for no reason, bitch. Mind you, in Baltimore, it just be police officers. First of all, Baltimore police officers don't do nothing anyway. So that's the first thing we're gonna get out of here. Like, you could do a whole transaction in front of a police officer and they will be on their phone not caring. So that's a whole nother conversation. But I'm like, my head, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to jail, I'm going to jail. I had a fake ID, I underage drink, but that's not how that would have worked anyway. But we got out of there, almost broke my ankle, but we got far enough, and then just kind of took the L. I really don't remember how we got home. I wasn't drunk or anything. I just really don't remember what happened after that. Oh, I don't know if they do that anymore, but don't try to finesse the alcohol, and don't be like the white girls in the bathroom scrubbing your hands. Like, come on now. Just don't do it. Yeah, that's the end of the story. This is a shorter story, I think. Once again, make sure you buy some merch. Cute phone cases with Tyreeka's face on them. The pancake socks for the win. Oh, and I also got Tyreeka mugs. We got sweatshirts and all the type of stuff. And go ahead and support your girl. Tag me on Instagram when you have the merch and all of that. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe. Love you guys.